Hi, everybody. I'm Bill Sanders, and this is Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection. Today, we're going to take a look at Rob's collection, and I refer to it as Rob's growing collection because it seems to have almost a life of its own, and it's going into a lot of interesting places with it, I think. So let's get started. The first two are a couple G-Shocks. The one on the left is your 5600E, which is pretty much plain vanilla G-Shock in a lot of ways. G-Shocks are G-Shocks. The one on the right is called the Tron, and it has capabilities to connect into your mobile devices and so forth. So it's really a type of smartwatch. But anyway, a couple of G-Shocks. Now he uses this a lot. He's got a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old. That's when you need a G-Shock, believe me. Now, his first watch that he talked about as being a luxury watch, really in it, he got about 15 years ago, and he didn't know anything about it, but he liked this one. And it's the Girard-Perregaux Seahawk 2. For someone who not only doesn't know anything, but admits it, he picked a good one, I think. I always like this Seahawk, and I don't see very many of them. I think they're really good buys. This one's 42 millimeters, and it's got a base of a Girard-Perregaux 3300, and its own caliber is 03300 0074. All right, but it's a very, very cool watch. I like it a lot. I like the looks of it. It's clean, and it's good solid diver type of watch. Now, this next one is Panerai Luminor. And Rob said a couple of his friends who work for Richemont recommended it. Now, it's a big boy, 44 millimeters, and it's hand wound, which is good. But the most interesting thing, it's got the Unitas ETA 6497. I've done a lot of stuff with 6497 or the Chinese clones of 6497s, and the first thing I noticed was that there's no subdial at 9 o'clock, and to me that really cleans up the watch a lot. Not a great fan of subdials, even though my favorite watches seem to have them. But this one I really, really like. It's like I said, it's a big boy. It's hand wound. If the caliber 6497 comes in two flavors, -1 and -2, Rob didn't indicate which one. One is 2.5 hertz, the other one's 3 hertz. Something I'm gonna like, and I certainly like this one. It's not so much that Panerai used to use a lot of ETAs. It was they didn't tell you what was in there. And but these is the kind of watch, if you can find one like this, you ought to be able to get it for a pretty good price, I would think, anyway. Now, this next one is what you might call a classic in its own right. This is a Zenith El Primero. It's Rob's only chronograph, and in my opinion, that's exactly how many chronographs you need, unless you're involved in something that you're doing a lot of measuring. And an El Primero is a very good choice. Now, you got the 3 subdials in the middle as usual, and then between 4 and 5 o'clock, you got the date window, which is another one of those, my idiosyncrasies that I really like. Not everybody does. This is a good sized date window. You can see where it shows 20. Just a cool watch. I like this one a lot. And like I said, it's his only chronograph in Rob's collection. In my opinion, it's probably the only one he'll ever need. Okay, now this next watch is sort of interesting. Rob said he sort of dropped out of watch collection for a while, and this is during the financial crisis back in '08, and during that period, and then he got back into it again, and he discovered this one, the Tudor Black Bay 58. What really surprised me about this one is that Rob said he was on a waiting list for 6 months for this. It's a very, very popular watch. this is one with the Tudor manufactured caliber, MT 5402. MT means manufactured Tudor, so that's how you know it's not something else in there. And this is Rob said this is his favorite watch, and it's about clean as a whistle, great visibility. I've mentioned before on a black dial, sometimes I have trouble reading the numbers. This one is a gray dial, and with the silver indexes, and it's a little hard to read, but it's worth looking at, so I don't mind too much. But this is a neat one, 39 millimeters, very, very cool watch. Now, here are a couple of German watches. First of all is the Sinn 856 UTC. Now, as a former pilot, this is almost the perfect watch. You have the universal time, which is what all of your flight planning is done with that. And if you're flying IFR, they will give you a takeoff time and so forth using UTC. Now, unfortunately, in the picture that Rob sent, the UTC hand, you can barely see it. It's hidden behind the second hand over at 2 o'clock, or the 2 o'clock position of the minute hand, but that's okay. You can pretty well tell it. This is a clean as a whistle. This would be almost an ideal pilot's watch for someone like me who actually would fly. I don't fly anymore, but if I picked it up again, this is the kind of watch I'd want to have. 40 millimeters. Now it's got an ETA 2893-2 in it. This is one of the things. A lot of German watches have the ETA movements, and I'm not sure how they keep getting them. All right, they may not. They may show up as Solitas pretty soon, because Solita has identical copies of the ETA when they were making them, where sort of doing the makeup work for them. The legibility on this one is great, and at 4 o'clock you can see the date window down there. It's not too big, but pretty visible. There's no doubt when it's 12, 3, 6, and 9 though. And then they have the 24 hours in between that. Very, very cool watch, Sinn. Now the final one is another German watch, Damasko DS30. And this one, 39 millimeters, same size. It's got an ETA 2824-2 in it. I don't know. It's looking at this watch, there's not much I could say about it, except I like the looks of it. I mean, it's like just go anywhere, do anything kind of watch. It's very legible in terms of like the date window. It's not so big, but it's really clear. They got a little black background to the date window, and then the numbers are in white. They got big white indexes against the blue. Easy to read. Again, here you have an ETA movement in a German watch. Now, I know that this is a German watch, and it's got a Rolf Lang movement in it, so I know they do have their own movements, but you'll find a lot of the most popular German watches with ETA. I guess I'll be moving over to Solita pretty soon. Okay, well, so my view of this is very, very good, and I call it growing because I think that it's going into high horology perhaps, or some of the dressier things in time. Right now, you got kids 2 and 3 years old. You got more to do than collect watches, but I think this is a good number to have. As sort of as your family gets older, maybe you can add some other ones to it that would be perhaps a little dressier. As far as ones I would recommend economically, maybe a nice Nomos Glashütte on the German side. On the Swiss side, there's so many possibilities. It's sort of the one of the cleaner dress watches. And again, this will come down to finances. And until your kids are finished with college and you finish paying that off, um, sometimes the economics of it can be very tricky. In this time of the pandemic, things are really tough for everybody, the watch dealers, the buyers, everyone. So to recommend something, I would say this is something, the kind of collection, you got a good solid collection as the base of it, you got good variety, both Swiss and German. I would say go very slow. Just sort of look for something that if you want to find something again like that would be unique from what you have already. Because you seem to have most of the bases, if not all of them, covered. You got a UTC, you got a chronograph, you got a G-Shock for playing with the kids. You'll need that for a while. So anyway, well, some of the rest of you, especially those of you who are sort of, have young kids and are starting off in your career and so forth, you might have some ideas too. And so I'd really like to hear from you. Anyway, until next time, this is Bill Sanders for Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection.